Ever see a tattoo design so cool you think, I want that, but like, on my terms? Well, today's deep dive. It's all about where creativity and the law collide. Tattoo copyright.
It's a world unto itself, really.
We're about to find out why knowing your rights is as crucial as choosing the right ink. Because getting something permanently etched on you, it doesn't mean you now own the design itself, right?
Right.
It's like, I buy a designer t-shirt, doesn't mean I can just start making knockoffs in my basement and selling them.
Exactly. That's a great analogy, actually. A lot of people don't realize that copyright protection, it applies to tattoos just as much as any other artwork.
Okay, so let's say I'm an artist. Sketchbook full of ideas, finally nail that perfect design, bam. It's automatically protected like that.
You got it.
Yeah.
The second that design takes a concrete form, whether it's a sketch on paper, a digital file, you could even carve it into a bar of soap and boom, copyright protection kicks in.
I bet that blows some minds out there, especially for artists just starting out. This whole legal side of things, it's probably like a whole other world.
It definitely can be intimidating, but that's why even understanding the basics is so key. And it's not just about knowing you have rights, but how to actually exercise them.
Okay, so how does a tattoo artist, fresh out of art school, maybe even a seasoned pro, really solidify that protection? Where do you even begin?
It all starts with good old-fashioned documentation.
Documentation. So we're talking like dating your sketches, holding on to those early drafts, that kind of thing.
You got it. Think of it like building a case file for your artwork, a historical record proving your design's origin story. I once worked with this artist who had a dispute over a design, and because she kept meticulous records, like timestamped digital files even, she was able to prove her case.
Wow, talk about a lifesaver. Makes you realize how important those little details can be. But it's not always pen and paper these days, is it? What about the digital age? We've got designs flying around the internet faster than you can say Instagram.
Oh, you're hitting on a crucial point. That's where watermarking comes in. It's absolutely essential, especially when you're sharing your work online. Think of it like your signature on a piece of art.
Right. So even if someone tries to be sneaky and remove your name, that watermark is like, think again.
Exactly. It's not foolproof, but it's a simple, powerful deterrent.
Okay, that makes sense. But what about when you need the big guns, legally speaking?
That's where copyright registration comes in. It's like the
official stamp of approval.
It really is, yeah. Taking that copyright protection to the Supreme Court,
So it's automatic from creation, but registering, it's like making it official. Legally binding in a court of law.
You got it.
Yeah.
Now, for many artists, especially those just starting out, this might seem like overkill, but...
Hold on, before you dive into that, can you explain why a tattoo artist would really need to register a design? Like, what's the most compelling reason?
Well, the big one is statutory damages.
Statutory damages, okay.
Basically, it allows you to pursue a preset amount of financial compensation for each instance of infringement, which can be a game changer.
Whoa, that's way more powerful than just hoping to recoup what you would have earned, right?
Exactly. It's a powerful deterrent, and it can make a big difference in a legal battle.
Makes total sense. So how does an artist actually go about registering their design? Is it a paperwork nightmare?
It's more straightforward than you might think. Basically, you submit an application along with a copy of your design to the U.S. Copyright Office, or, the equivalent in your country. And honestly, the peace of mind it provides, often worth the effort.
Especially when your art is your livelihood. Okay, last but not least, I want to touch on something you mentioned earlier, licensing agreements. This sounds crucial for artists who want to sell their designs or collaborate.
Absolutely, and especially in the digital age, licensing agreements are all about setting those ground rules, making sure everyone's on the same page about how a design can be used.
Give us an example, like walk us through a scenario where a licensing agreement would be key.
Sure. Let's say you create this killer skull design, super intricate details. You might license that design to another artist, giving them permission to tattoo it a certain number of times. But they can't reproduce it for merchandise or make alterations to the original artwork. You control those rights.
So it's like you're giving them the recipe, but you're still the Gordon Ramsay of that specific dish. You control the secret sauce.
Exactly. And this way, it ensures your work is being used the way you intended, which is critical for any artist.
This is making me realize there's this whole legal dimension to tattooing that most people probably never even think about. It's not just about the art itself, it's about protecting your creative vision. But what happens if, despite all this, someone tries to pull a fast one and use a design without permission?
That, my friend, is a conversation for after a quick break.
So, we're back. diving even deeper into the sometimes murky waters of tattoo copyright. We've covered how artists can protect their designs, but let's be real, not everyone plays by the rules, right?
Unfortunately, that's true. Even with all the right measures in place, infringement can happen.
Okay, so say an artist discovers someone is using their design without permission. What's the first move? Is it lawyer up, DEFCON 1, straight to court?
Hold your horses. It's rarely that dramatic right off the bat. Most situations, they don't actually need to escalate into like a full-blown legal battle.
Okay, that's good to hear. So what's the first line of defense then?
Simple, direct communication. A lot of the time, a friendly email or a message can clear things up. You'd be surprised how often it's a case of someone genuinely being unaware of copyright implications.
Oh, totally.
Maybe they saw the design online, thought it was free to use, that kind of thing.
Makes sense. Not always malicious. Sometimes just like misinformed.
Exactly. It's about educating as much as it is protecting your work. But let's say that friendly nudge doesn't do the trick. What's next?
Yeah, what happens when someone's being deliberately difficult?
That's when you might need to escalate to a cease and desist letter.
Ooh, now it's getting serious.
It sounds intimidating, I know, but it's essentially a formal written request to stop using the design. It outlines the copyright violation and the potential legal consequences if they don't comply.
I bet that gets their attention. Do you need a fancy lawyer to draft one of those?
Not necessarily. You can actually find templates for cease and desist letters online, or you can consult with an attorney just to make sure everything's buttoned up nice and legal.
So it's like, hey, we mean business, but we're still giving you a chance to make things right.
Precisely. The goal is to resolve the issue without a drawn-out legal process. But in those rare cases where someone digs in their heels, they ignore all that.
Then what? That's when it's court time.
It's a last resort. But yes,
Yeah.
legal action may be necessary. And this is where having that registered copyright, that we discussed, that becomes incredibly valuable.
Because it strengthens your case in court.
Right.
It's harder to dispute ownership.
Exactly. It provides that extra level of legal backing. And remember those statutory damages we talked about. Those come into play here.
So it's not just about proving you lost money from the infringement, but like hitting them with those preset damages on top of it.
Exactly. It makes a statement, and it can be a powerful deterrent against future infringement. But honestly, most cases don't actually get to that point.
That's reassuring, I guess. But I do think it's important to clear up some common myths around tattoo copyright, because confusion just adds to the problem, right?
100%. Dispelling those myths is key. What do you have in mind?
Well, I've heard this one a lot. Copyright. Now, that's for famous artists, big studios, not for someone just starting out.
That is a huge misconception. Copyright protection is for anyone who creates original work, regardless of, their experience or popularity. Whether you're tattooing out of your apartment or a high-end studio, your art is protected.
It's like that saying, everyone starts somewhere, and their work deserves protection right from the get-go.
Exactly. What other myths have you come across?
Okay, here's one I'm sure a lot of clients wonder about. If they get a tattoo of a design, do they essentially own it then? Like, can they go to a different artist and get it inked again? No problem.
That's a big one. Causes a lot of confusion. Here's the deal. The client owns the tattoo on their body, sure, but they don't own the copyright to the design itself.
I think a lot of people don't quite make that distinction. It's like buying, say, a limited edition print of a famous painting. You own that physical copy, but you can't just start making and selling your own, right?
Perfect analogy.
Yeah.
The artist who created the original design, they hold the copyright, even when it's tattooed on someone else.
Okay, that clears things up, but what about this one? Some people think you can't copyright a tattoo because it's on skin, not a canvas or something.
That old "it's not real art" argument. Tattoos are absolutely a form of intellectual property. They're original designs, creative expressions, just like any other artwork. The fact that the canvas is skin doesn't diminish that.
Right, the medium doesn't define the art or its legal protections.
Exactly. And this leads into a really important point about respecting the artistry behind tattoos.
I think what's coming through so strongly for me is we're not just talking about legal technicalities here. It's about respecting the artistry behind these designs.
Absolutely. Copyright exists to encourage artistic expression, not stifle it, right? It makes sure artists are fairly compensated for their work. And just as importantly, that their unique visions are respected.
Yeah, protecting that creative spark. And speaking of creative sparks, this whole conversation, it's got me thinking about the future. I mean, we're in a digital age where designs, they can be shared, copied, altered with a few clicks. So what does that mean for the future of tattoo copyright? Where's this all headed?
It's a double-edged sword, and that's for sure. The digital landscape, it presents both challenges and opportunities. On one hand, it's easier than ever for designs to be copied without permission. But we also have incredible tools to help artists protect themselves.
So it's like a constant game of cat and mouse.
In a way, yeah. But the good news is, there are more resources than ever for artists to fight back. Digital watermarking is more sophisticated, online registration is easier, and there are platforms now dedicated to helping artists, track their work online, even sell directly to clients.
Okay, good to hear. It's not all doom and gloom then. What advice would you give to artists who are, trying to stay ahead of the curve in this whole digital Wild West?
I think it boils down to this. Be proactive, stay informed, and don't be afraid to adapt. Embrace those online tools that offer copyright protection. Use your social media, even if it's just a quick line in your bio about respecting artists' rights, to educate your clients.
It's about building that awareness, right? Making it part of the tattoo culture.
Precisely. And never underestimate the power of connecting with other artists. Share your experiences, learn from each other, support each other. A strong community, it can make a huge difference.
That's a crucial point. So as we start to wrap up our deep dive into, the intricate world of tattoo copyright, what's the one thing you hope our listeners take away from this?
Knowledge is power. By understanding your rights, whether you're the artist or even just thinking about getting a tattoo, you can make informed decisions, protect your interests, and just contribute to a more respectful and vibrant tattoo community.
I love it. Knowledge, respect, and a whole lot of creativity. Those are the building blocks for, an amazing tattoo experience. For everyone.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
Well, on that note, we're signing off. But remember, this conversation, it doesn't have to end here. Keep exploring, keep learning, and keep those creative sparks flying. Until next time, happy inking.